Chapter 2. Part 3.
Agnoruk's house was not prepared to receive such numerous visitors. It barely had 3 chairs, and both he and Kush took a seat on 2 large and thick wooden blocks that they used as stools. The plates, glasses, and cutlery were enough for everyone. Thanks to a large wooden tank, they could drink water that came from a small spring that gushed from inside the white granite wall. The spring served to irrigate the small garden at the back of the cabin. Agnoruk was not an expert farmer, but he was skilled enough to grow betora, silka, silver, tomatoes, and spring onions in spring and summer. Just enough for their consumption. The rest of the food was obtained through hunting and fishing in the nearby area. To complete his diet, he used barter on the rare occasions that he went down to Vale Nevodo. In exchange for tanned skins, he obtained meat from various salted animals and his favorite product, bitter tea. They had dinner with enthusiasm since the betora stew was quite good. More so for Agnoruk, who was used to the taste. For the rest, the betora, and especially the roots of silka, was a pleasant surprise since the texture of both vegetables was very soft and pleasant when cooked. Complemented with the seasoned sea snake meat gave a very characteristic flavor to the 2 vegetables. But no one except Kush tasted a piece of seasoned meat. It was too hard to chew. That was not a problem for the half-orc, who ate all the pieces he had on his plate, tasting them delicately. In addition, the fresh water from the spring was the ideal complement to the dish. When Vanus began to pick up the dinner dishes, Agnoruk at last asked about the fundamental question of the whole evening. "I don't think you came all the way here to eat cooked betora after a decade without seeing each other." Arian and Kush exchanged glances to see who was speaking. In the end, the magician lowered his gaze, and it was the priestess who took the floor. "We need you to come back to the company, Agnoruk." The half-orc took a sip of water from his glass while silently watching Arian's eyes. Kush continued with the account of the events. Demember is again in danger. The new queen of Olbiana has once again made a pact with the dwarfs of the Dragon's Ridge and the kingdom of Scythia. A new iron war is about to begin. The Iron Wars, Olbiana and the dwarfs of the Ridge have always coveted the rich mines of Demember. Surely King Dasmir III needs the services of his favorite mercenaries again. Debok needs all available mercenaries. We have recruited all those who are free from Almera. But we need the best, Agnoruk. This time Olbiana is going all out to invade Demember. Again silence on the part of the half-orc. He was imperturbable by what the wizard was saying, which caused the bewilderment of the rest of those present. "You still have a 3-year contract with the company, and in the contract clause you signed before your departure it was clear that you could return in case of a manifest need on our part." The magician finished with his presentation. "And this is the case?" Agnoruk's question was simple, and he was looking for a sincere answer from his friends. Arian spoke again, moving a little closer to the half-orc. "That's right, the army they are preparing is impressive. The new queen wants a great victory to prove to her people that she is a worthy successor to the great monarchs of Olbiana." The half-orc drank again, then bit his lower lip. He had given his word to return after a while, and he was not one of those who used to break his promises. The half-orc had been sensing for a while that his time of solitude was about to end to his misfortune. "I do." He didn't seem very enthusiastic about uttering that word, but for those who knew him it was enough. Kush and Arian's faces showed immense joy. Ever since Gosberg proposed to count on Agnoruk again, the idea of reuniting the group had been the main illusion of the young woman and the magician. Although they had lived great adventures this last decade, they could not compare to that one with the half-orc. Kush pulled out his thick wizard's book. He showed Agnoruk the page where he had drawn a map of the continent of Youth. He pointed to where they were now and began to prepare the trip back to Almera. "Tomorrow we will leave for the port of Fisbanil, where a boat is waiting for us to return to Almera as soon as possible. I need 1 more day. I have to prepare the house for a long absence." No one discussed the half-orc's change of plans. If he needed 1 more day before leaving, they would grant it. But it was time to rest. Agnoruk gave up his bed for the women in the group. It was a big bed where all of them could sleep perfectly. They slept on the floor. Early in the morning Agnoruk began to prepare the house for a long absence. He got rid of all perishable food so that it would not rot inside the house. What he could not carry and was valuable, he left stored in an underground room under the hut, hidden by a double floor.